Good morning. Good morning. Happy Monday, everybody. This is your host, Thomas Jason Anderson, and you are on the off ramp, which is the best place to be in America right now because if you look at the mainstream media and you look at all these other talking heads in the social media space, it's a mess out there, man. It's a total mess. You've got all kinds of craziness. Before I get into the craziness here in the United States, let me just touch on something going on in Guyana because I made a comment, I posted something, and I said, "Look, everything involving the Mohammeds and Azruddin Muhammad and his father Shell Muhammad, it's all political. It's all political at this point." And I made sure this. I said that at this point, there was a time when this was not political from the United States side. We are now making it political because we are supporting the PPP with their shenanigans and their charade with basically trying to torture the Mohammeds and impoverish them and basically so damage their name in the process that the Mohammeds have no ability to have a fair trial. They have no ability to expose other corruption in Guyana. That's what this is. Okay. And we as the United States have clearly jumped on board. Why have we jumped on board? How do I know we've jumped on board and we're helping the PPP create this situation with the Mohammeds? Well, because we just had the visit by Christy Nome and Corey Lewandowski. And after the visit, the ambassador of the United States comes out and says, there's no politics involved in this whatsoever. She was told that by Lewandowski and by Christy Nome. That's who told her to say that. I'm just telling you. And since this stupid game continues to play since Lewandowski and Christy Nome arrived, clearly they're a part of making it happen. So we have a really bad situation going on. We have the United States with corrupt individuals over here getting involved with Guyana and their corrupt individuals over there to create this crap storm involving the Mohammeds. That's what this is. They look, if this was going right, he would have been extradited already and would be facing trial in South Florida. They're never going to let him be extradited. And the ambassador's playing the game. They are going to keep the Mohammeds in Guyana as long as it takes to break them. They have to be broken before they go to Miami. That's the game. And that's inhumane. And I'm not playing that game. So all of you PPP supporters who want to attack me and get upset at me, screw you guys, because you guys are a part of a sick game where justice is being twisted so that stupid, corrupt people can get away with their crimes. That's all this is. It's a game. The PPP has their people out there on social media. Oh, look, Muhammad got his test results rigged. The PPP did that. I'm telling you, Muhammad might even think himself, oh, I'm doing this. I'm playing. He's not doing anything. The entire thing is being rigged by the PPP. All of it. All of it. All of it. I don't know how else to say it. And now our ambassador is involved, backing up their crap. We've got Mike Pompeo with whatever he's doing. Now we've got Corey Lewandowski and Christy Nome playing games in Guyana now. So this is becoming a straight up shit show. Guyana is going to be a disaster, guys. It's guaranteed. They're playing too many games. They're too full of themselves. They're full of themselves. They're playing games. They think it's a joke. And what they don't realize is this is not a joke. And what's happening can create a volatile situation and can create a problem for everyone, which is probably what they want. Because if you're corrupt individuals and you've committed a bunch of crimes and you want to get away with it, what better way to get away with it than to collapse the entire system? Make so much chaos, no one points the finger at you. That's what's going on politically, at least in the United States. And clearly, this has bled over into Guyana. So now the corrupt guys in Guyana feel like they can get in on the game and try to drive a guy and his father crazy, harassing his family, harassing anybody who knows them for months and months and months, even years. They will make this go on forever. forever, as long as it takes, as long as it takes for them to be able to skate on all the evil mess they've done for so long. They don't want to have to pay the price for what they have done. They want to pin it all on the Mohammeds. That's what's happening. And now we've got US officials getting involved in this mess. It's a shit show. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it's not. Everybody needs to know it's a shit show. And it's not going to end well for any of them. It's going to be a disaster for all of them, idiots. But what can you do when you're dealing with people who are super ignorant, they're super corrupt, and they're super evil? Of course, they're going to do nothing but the stupid stuff, which is what's going on now. So you guys can support whatever the hell's going on. You guys can play with storylines down there in Guyana. You can believe whatever you want to believe. But the reality is this is an entire game that the PPP have created in order to cover up their own crap. And now they're getting US officials involved. They've got the ambassador involved now. That's what's happening. That's how much of a shit show this is. Yeah, that's right. And then when everything goes wrong and everything goes sideways, they're going to be blaming this person and that person. Oh, no, it was the Mohammeds who did this. Oh, no, it was the Apnu. It was this guy or that guy. They always want to point the finger when it's them. They're playing the games. It's all a game, and it's a sick game. It's disgusting. I'm not even going to advise that they stop. I don't care. Keep playing your stupid games. It's only going to blow up in your faces down there. Horribly bad. So I'm not going to give advice anymore. I'm just going to say it like it is. Keep playing your games, guys. Come on. Keep doing it. Watch what happens to you. And it's not a threat for me. I'm not threatening anybody. I'm not going to do anything. It's you guys doing it to yourselves. I can see what you're doing. I see what you guys are up to. How do I see it? Because I've been dealing with the corrupt people here in the United States who you guys are partnered with. That's how I can see it. I see what they're doing here in the United States to help you guys down there with your corruption. What you guys down there don't realize is these guys up here, they look at you like dogs. They're racist as hell. These guys you work with, they think you guys are sacks of shit, that you're one level above a dog. That's how racist these guys are. Super racist. But you guys are partnered with them because they're white. And white means good, right? That's what you think, right? No, they're going to steal your whole country from you. And they're going to have you do it to yourself, which is what you're doing. Which is what you're doing. Like little slaves. Yeah. That's what you guys are dealing with down there right now. You're dealing with the racist, greedy, corrupt Americans over here. That's what you're dealing with. Trust me, they don't like you. Trust me when I tell you, they, at the first chance, they are going to destroy every single one of y'all. They're going to have y'all living like the Haitians. I'm just letting you know. Here's why. Because they can get all your oil without having to mess with you guys on the mainland. Your oil's offshore. How are you gonna get to it? Have you guys not seen our carriers and our destroyers? How are you gonna get to your oil? You're not. What do you think's going on? Why do you think these people from Louisiana keep coming around you guys down there? Have you ever looked at Louisiana before and how that's the most racist state in the Union in America? Have you guys ever considered that? No. You haven't. You haven't. You don't know what's going on down there. It's all a wicked ass game. And you're playing it with the most wicked racist people in the United States. That's who you guys are playing it with. So of course this is going to be bad for you. Of course they're going to destroy you. Why wouldn't they? They destroy people who aren't white just because. Just because they can. This is what you guys are dealing with. I'm calling it out because I don't like them. And I've been having to deal with them over here for years. Them trying to sabotage my career, them trying to discredit me. I've even had my family attacked. I've had my previous marriage attacked. I've had my kids' lives threatened. I've had my life threatened by these people. And I'll let me transition this over into the Iran situation. Because I said, hey, how is Black Lives Matter related to Iran? It's the same thing. All you have to do is look at this guy named Professor Zhang, the Chinese guy who Tucker Carlson just had on his show. And Professor Zhang is not a professor, by the way. He's a high school teacher, but whatever. So Professor Zhang said, oh, yeah, because of the Iran war, that's going to cause a civil war in the United States. And that's the civil war that's going to take us down, and China's going to be the best in the world, blah, 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 blah. That's a real playbook. Yes, things were set in place for there to be a civil war here in the United States. Yes, he is correct. If you think about January 6th, it took a boatload of planning to pull that off. A boatload. A lot of financing, a lot of organizing. It takes a lot to pull off just one insurrection is a lot. Imagine how much time and planning it will take to pull off a civil war. Think about it. So this has been cooking for a long time. That's why Professor Zhang is so confident about what he's saying, because the Chinese know that this has been going on here in the United States. Why? Because they've been funding it along with the Russians. And a part of the Civil War plan that they had set up long ago was funding Black Lives Matter. That's right. Black Lives Matter to the general public and to the most of the world was a civil rights group. And they basically started because of the murder of a black man by a police officer by putting his knee on his neck and killing him. George Floyd. That's how Black Lives Matter started. And they had protests all over the country, right? But with that came a bunch of tech bros who swooped in and they pumped in over $100 million into the organization, and they crowned the leader, a woman named Patrisse Cullors. Okay. And they had her running around Washington, D.C., pushing net neutrality for them. That's what they wanted. And then, so I asked myself, well, if the tech bros want to use Black Lives Matter to help them get an advantage on the internet against their adversaries, AT&T and all these guys, right? What else are the tech bros up to? And if you look back at Facebook and these guys and Twitter, if you look back on what they were involved in with election interference and whatnot, you start to think, oh, wait a minute. And I'll tell you what they were involved in and what they were pushing. Black Lives Matter was not only supposed to be there to help them with their net neutrality stuff, but it was there as the tip of the spear to spark the civil war here in the United States. That's what it was for. What was supposed to happen was Homeland Security was supposed to go into Minnesota like they did, and they were supposed to start shooting people in the face like they did. And then it was supposed to be Black Lives Matter comes in and they start fighting ICE. And that turns into a little mini war in the streets of Minnesota that then expands because all the Black Lives Matter chapters around the country would get in on it and start going against police. And now you would have your civil war. That was the plan. So Black Lives Matter was pivotal in all of this. They needed that in order to maintain and sustain violence across every state in the country. But since they lost Black Lives Matter and it fell apart, once Minnesota happened, it happened, and then it just died out. They couldn't carry the energy over throughout the country because that takes organizing power. You cannot create a civil war without serious organization. Black Lives Matter was supposed to be a big part of that organization. The other part of it was this guy Singh, the guy from Chicago, the Hindu dude, the Indian guy who's in China now. He funds Code Pink. He's married to one of the Code Pink founders, Nevin Singh or whatever his name is. He was the other part of creating the Civil War, right? So he was funding all these college campuses and all these protests that were all anti-Israel and stuff. So he was going to do that, and that was going to combine with the Black Lives Matters protests against ICE and the police. And that's what was supposed to spark the Civil War, because then Trump would bring in the military and da 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 da. That was what was supposed to happen. And so when Professor Jung speaks on this, he's speaking of a plan, but what he doesn't realize is it failed. He doesn't know that it failed. He doesn't realize that the Minnesota thing was supposed to be the spark of the Civil War. He doesn't know that. And so you've got other guys around here like Tucker Carlson who doesn't know it either. Steve Bannon. There's a bunch of these guys who were aligned and ready for this Civil War. And they're like, when is it coming? Where is it at? And it's not here. And the reason why it's not here is because a big part of it, Black Lives Matter, got taken down. That's why. So here's how I know these things, and here's why I'm discussing on these things, right? Because in my job, if you guys want to know what it looks like to do a job like investigative journalism and doing research reporting, being a researcher, being somebody who's primarily behind the scenes, not in front of the camera, not publishing work, but someone who's helping other people with bylines and other publications put work out there. So I'm one of those people. And the best way to imagine how I'm doing what I'm doing and how I put out the kind of content I do is I travel between timelines, basically, right? So back years ago, I saw what was going on, Black Lives Matter. I traced the funding, and I could see that there were potential timelines coming out of this thing. And one of the potential timelines was a civil war in the United States. I could see it. And when I saw the funding going to it, and when I saw how they were behaving, I said, oh no, that's a timeline that is very much in play. It's a possible timeline. And so I went about working with several members of the media. And the way I did it is I helped them craft stories based off of research that I dug up on the organization, on Patrisse Cullors and her organizations. And I showed that there was a lot of things going on that were wrong, that needed to be looked at. The California Attorney General took a look. It was bad, right? But when I helped all these different reporters with their stories and to put them out, since I'm working on different potential timelines, I'm helping reporters and publications put stories out on specific points on a timeline. And so I'm on several different timelines on one project through different publications that are ideologically different, but it's all the same story. But by hitting it from these different timeline angles, what happens is you can create sort of a domino effect and ultimately collapse a lot of potential timelines into one. And so, yeah, I did that with Black Lives Matter, and I collapsed it down to sort of what we see today. Methodically, I did that, working with several members of the media over a long period of time. I did a similar thing with Bob Menendez, and you can kind of figure it out when you read the book, and you'll see how well it's researched, and you'll see how much information is in there. I'm coming at things on multiple timelines. I'm purposely collapsing certain timelines, like the Civil War timeline with Black Lives. I'm collapsing those, and I'm doing it so far out before the events occur that most of the people in the media don't know what's going on. They don't even know that that's my strategy, but that's been the strategy. So I'm looking at what's going on now, and I'm kind of laughing at these guys because no, there will not be a civil war, guys. What you needed to make that happen, it got taken away. Sorry, guys. So sorry, but I'm not sorry. Right? And so going forward, what we're probably going to see are these guys who wanted the Civil War. They're going to start backtracking. They're going to start supporting Trump again all of a sudden. All of a sudden, they're going to want troops on the ground in Iran. They're going to want a big giant war, because what they're thinking is the more they can get, push Trump to get bogged down out there, the more likely it is they can get some kind of political win or off ramp to get off of what they're on now, which was basically betraying America. See, the thing is, if they would have won, then they would be the heroes, and the people who lost would be the betrayers. But since they've lost, they're the betrayers. That's how it goes, and they know that better than anybody. So they're in desperation mode, uh, but they can't win because in order to get what they want, it takes years and years and years of organizing, and it takes hundreds of millions, billions of dollars, and they just don't have it. And you can't just make it up on the fly. It doesn't work that way. So my prediction going forward is we're going to see peace in the Middle East, guys. We are. There will be peace in the Middle East. It's going to infuriate so many people, especially the elite, because the elite here in the West, they need war in the Middle East. They need tyrannical regimes. Why? Because that provides cheap oil. That's why. See, if the place is thriving and doing well, the oil is going to cost a little more. That's right. How does that make sense? Because when you have sanctions and stuff going on, those countries are still selling oil, but they're selling oil at $20 a barrel because they're under sanctions. You remove the sanctions from the region and everybody's on the same oil market, on the same selling the same amount of oil for the same dollar per barrel. You're now in a free market zone. Guess what? The price goes up. So a lot of the elite over here who have made so much wealth over generations because of the havoc and chaos in the Middle East, they're the crybabies over here. They're the ones who are upset. They're the ones who want infinite conflict in the Middle East. They want to have constant arguing, fighting, jostling. And they needed Iran for that because China has been backing that 100%. China funds Iran, they back them, and China also funds a lot of other people through Qatar and other countries, okay, in the media space. And they're supporting the Chinese agenda, which is the Chinese want a civil war in the United States. Too bad they can't get it. Sorry, guys, you missed out. Little old people like me and the group of journalists I work with, we sank your boat. And being black, it hurt because I'm a supporter of Black Lives Matter, but I saw that it was being perverted and twisted and used to hurt all of us. So I had to do the work I had to do. With that said, let me bring up one other thing. I've been tangling with this, talking about Black Lives Matter and everything else. I've been tangling with this. My daughter, her mom, my ex-wife, had her get some hair extensions put in her hair, braid-wise, hair braids. And I have a serious problem with that because those the hair extensions are full of chemicals, lead. And my daughter is a teenager. Her body's developing. Okay. Like her brain is still developing. And I'm like, I don't want my daughter to have, tainted product touching her scalp, inches from her brain for weeks and weeks. Who knows? Very upsetting. And so I tried to speak to my ex-wife about it, but I ran into a brick wall because I realized, on the race issue, Black women, they don't want to hear this issue with the hair extensions. They want to keep wearing them and just ignore the health dangers for it. And it hits into like their identity as to who they are. And so me coming from a health perspective and saying, I don't think this is safe to be on my daughter's head, turned into me questioning what beauty is. And I'm like, are you serious? What? But I realized something, and this is how insidious the media is, and how insidious our society is when it comes to just standards and what we allow to happen and what we don't allow to happen, and how we allow certain things to happen to certain groups, right? And so we have this situation with the hair extensions, and it's like our entire society, from entertainment, music, movies, modeling, it's all convincing our young girls that beauty is in hair extensions. And it's like, what? I told my daughter, I said, you have to understand something. Like, this is a wickedness here to try to convince you that your natural hair isn't what is beautiful about you, that something else has to be added for you to attain beauty. What? So that alone was upsetting to me. But the fact that I had to break through that just to get to the health part to say, hey, this stuff is poisonous and it causes long-term effects. And it hit me. I said, I have to do all this because I'm up against a society. I'm up against a world that is convinced that beauty is in hair extensions and toxic ass hair extensions. And people are brainwashed on this. And what's so crazy about it is who is it affecting the worst? Black women. And I'm like, yeah. I told my daughter, I said, unfortunately, we have people out here in this world who are billionaires who make money off of destroying innocent people. And so we have companies out here that are making this toxic crap, and they know Black women are putting it in their heads, and they know it's causing long-term health problems to Black women, and they don't care. And not only do they not care, they brag about making money this way because they look at Black women like, how stupid are you? You're poisoning yourself to make me rich because I hate Black. Look how stupid you guys are. This is the attitude. And so the abuse just bleeds over into everything. So if they can disrespect you when it comes to hair, have you poison yourself and convince you that's beautiful, then what else are they hitting you on? Everything. And so, yeah, I had a rough weekend this weekend talking to my daughter and just having to pull apart, explain to her, hey, this is not beauty, what you're being taught by society. The beauty is you. Everything about you. That's the beauty. So I had to go through all of that and get into the health stuff, and only to the end to finally, because it's such a shocking thing, I guess, is what I'm teaching my daughter. I said to her, I said, so what do you want to do with the hair extensions, with the braids? Because she literally just got her hair braided Saturday. I said, are you going to take them out now that you know? And she was like, well, I guess I'm going to leave them in just for a little bit. I said, why? Well, my mom, and she paid for these and, and I'll just let it sit. And I was like, yeah, I felt bad. She can't, I know she's young, and I want her to take them out, right? I do, because I think it's important that she understands with her own fingers, with her own body, with her own mind, that those hair extensions are not, they don't define beauty at all. It's a mirage. It's a little lie, actually. And it's okay to have little lies. That's fine. But when you identify with it as who you are, that's the problem. It's okay to walk around. If you have hair extensions and it's like a costume, okay, fine. But when you're walking around and that's your identity, that's like who you are, and that's not even a part of your body, that's wrong, man. That's wrong. So I had to go through that. And I think now, I think of RFK Jr. and these guys, if he's really about make America healthy again, he would do something with the FDA and these guys to make sure that these hair extensions aren't as toxic as they are, that Black women aren't being poisoned the way that they are with these extensions. Anyway, guys, have a great day today. Really, 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 really appreciate you guys joining me. Hey, hit the subscribe button, whether you're on YouTube, whatever platform, hit the subscribe button. It helps me out with my algorithms. It helps the message get out so people can hear what's really going on out there. But have a great day, guys. I really, really appreciate the support. Love you all. Take care.
Now I'ma put it down like that. I'm leaving, I ain't coming back. You don't like the way I act anyway. You really don't have to react. Don't try to change my mind, in fact. Honey, I've already packed all my stuff. We're no longer kids, let's move on. And you are not my kid, so I'm done. Please don't make me pull my gun. Sorry boy, I can't be the one. You know it, yeah. Nothing lasts forever. You know that a change will make it better. You know that nothing lasts forever. You know that, yeah, a change will make it better. There's no one to blame, you see. Maybe we're not meant to be. There are plenty more fish in the sea anyway. Every day's a different thing, so I'm not into wedding rings. It ain't personal, it's the way I think. Yeah. You know it, nothing lasts forever. And you know